Hello, everybody. I just got back from seeing Inside Out 2 in the theater. And by the way, this is the first time I've ever filmed a YouTube video while driving. I can already tell on camera, the camera quality, that looked like total dog water. So I don't know if I even will post this or not. When I get home, I might just film a whole new version. But I wanted to record my initial thoughts on Inside Out 2. And I liked the movie quite a bit. Now, for reference, I watched the first one a couple of nights ago because the first one came out 9 years ago, and it had been about 9 years since I watched it. Rewatched Inside Out 1, and it was almost, I would consider it a near masterpiece. Stutter problem. Despite coming out so kind of like late in Pixar's timeline or filmography, I think it counts as a top 5 best Pixar movies in my opinion, up there with The Incredibles and Toy Story and probably Monsters Inc. and WALL-E. I'll consider those my top 5. In terms of the exact order, I don't know what yet. But this new Inside Out 2, which I am so thankful that they took 9 years to make rather than rushing a sequel right out, like a lot of modern movies do. That gives the developers and the artists behind it more time to kind of craft what they want the movie to be, and results in a better product rather than a rushed product because the studio wants money or some crap. So I saw it, and well, first of all, I saw it in the movie theater. I am aware that in my Rise of the Beast video that I said I wasn't going to theater ever again. I wanted to challenge myself this time and see if I would like it, and it turns out, no, I still absolutely hate it. The movie theater is a terrible experience. I never want to go back ever again. But the movie was great. I loved Inside Out 2. It does what any good movie should do, or what good sequel should do, and it expands on the original. It introduces new concept. It doesn't just like do a complete retread of the first movie while adding very little and pretty much being non-consequential in the overall franchise. It does expand on the concepts introduced in the first movie, as with, you know, with the main character. Can you call her a main character? Can you call Riley a main character? She's like the weird. I'm gonna turn the radio on real quick because it's stuck in CD mode. She's like the human that the emotions kind of control. So the emotions are kind of the main character. You can kind of call Joy a main character, but one thing, spoilers. This will be full of spoilers probably. That this movie does better is that Inside Out 1 focused mainly on the adventures of joy and sadness. There were 5 emotions total, but only 2 got the big screen time devoted to them. The sequel, despite introducing all 4 new emotions, the original 5 all get way more screen time, and they get more chance to interact with each other, which I loved quite a bit. There's a lot more dialogue from like disgust, anger, and fear that I feel like they were kind of pushed as relegated as side characters in the first movie. And so that was a huge bonus. I'd say that another huge bonus was the inclusion of anxiety, as this is where the spoilers come in, kind of a villain character, which I was not expecting. Keep in mind, I did not watch any of the trailers for this. So I watched like a little bit of the teaser trailer where it introduced it. Like I saw snippets on like social media or whatever, and then I stopped. I never watched any like trailer or saw any more promotional material because I like doing it like that. And I have to say, I'm glad I did, because in my opinion, it makes the movie way more enjoyable when you know next to nothing going in. Things aren't a surprise. And let me talk about the notions ago. So anxiety as like a villain. She I wasn't expecting it to be a she. I think all the new emotions are female except embarrassment, who I'm assuming is male, even though he only gets one line of dialogue. His old character that doesn't really talk is embarrassed of himself. But anxiety is like, well, I mean, their characters are kind of in their name. She's super anxious. She always has a plan for everything, and like an idea of like a million things that could go wrong, and she basically wants to kind of control Riley, trying to form her into a new person as she goes through puberty at the age of like 13. And she wants to basically use the other new emotions, ennui, embarrassment, and envy, as like her little like henchmen or helpers to bottle up. That's very clever metaphor there. Bottle up the original 5 emotions from the first movie and transform Riley into this new character that all the cool kids will like, you know, while completely forgetting all the stuff that made her who she was as she grew up, which is kind of what the movie is about. The movie is kind of about growing up and, you know, making room for new emotions and realizing that just because these new emotions are in doesn't mean that the old ones go out, and you can relate that to your personal life, which I really liked. Another thing I really liked is that the music was also really good. The soundtrack, you know, the score, the main theme from the first movie makes a return, even though it's not as prominent as in the first movie. It only really shows up in the opening sequence and like the end credit sequence, but I liked it regardless. That was a good addition. Again, this is like an unscripted ramble back from the movie, so don't expect so much coherentness. But back to the emotions. Envy got a lot more screen time than I anticipated for not Envy. Yeah, Envy, the tiny one. She was pretty fun to watch, being this little like almost like little like helper to anxiety. Whenever anxiety would have or would be struggling to come up with an idea, Envy would be like right there. Ooh, what about this? What about this? And then anxiety would be, oh yeah, I love that character interaction between the two. Ennui was underutilized. She, I liked her introduction as like the boredom character who, you know, was like, I don't care, I'm on my phone or whatever. And I thought she looked good in the promotional material, but she didn't do a whole lot in the movie. And I would have loved to see her utilized more. Embarrassment doesn't really have that much of an effect on Riley, but inside her mind, you know, Embarrassment is a pretty good character, as he does interact with Sadness. There's kind of like an arc where like Sadness escapes back into the headquarters, and Embarrassment helps to kind of hide her for a little bit, forming like a little bond between the two. That was really nice, even though I wish Embarrassment had more effect on like Riley in the real world, or her world as you would put it. But, you know, that's a real bumpy road, I apologize. But other than that, the movie was good. Would I say it was better than the original? I don't know. Again, I just walked out of it like 20 minutes ago, but I would say it's probably on par with the original. Is it better or inferior to the original? I would need more time to formulate that opinion. There are some things that it does a little better, like example, the inclusion of all 5 emotions interacting with each other, whereas in the first movie we really only put the spotlight on joy and sadness. That was a big improvement. I think the pacing of this new one was a bit quicker, which I feel like was a downgrade. I noticed that because when I watched Rise of the Beasts last year, I noticed that movie was very oddly quickly paced too, and I think that movie was way shorter, and I think Inside Out 2 could have been a little longer. It felt like it was over before it began, but that could have been because I was enjoying the movie despite the horrible experience of people talking in the theater and all that stuff. I was able to put that aside and just enjoy the movie for what it was, and I really love this movie. When it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm definitely gonna get it. I don't own Inside Out 1 on Blu-ray, but I'm gonna get that one on Blu-ray, and I'm definitely gonna get this one. And when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm definitely gonna get it because I love the first Inside Out. It's a top 5 Pixar film. This new Inside Out is also another great Pixar film. As good or not as good as the original, I don't know yet. Maybe we'll let history decide on that. I'll have to look at some other reviews, see what other people are saying, or, you know, just form my own opinion. Maybe rewatch it again when it comes out on home video, and then compare it to the first movie. But other than that, would I recommend seeing Inside Out 2? Absolutely. yeah, whenever you can, if you can tolerate the movie theater, I know it's a terrible place to go, but if you can tolerate it, I definitely recommend going to go see it. Definitely get it, watch it when it comes out to streaming on Blu-ray. Watch it with the first movie, like immediately after, or like a day or two after, because they kind of fit the narrative of like the lead character Riley going from like 11 to 13 in the span of 2 movies. That's all I have to say for this thoughts on, very quick thoughts on. Again, these are unscripted, so I probably would do more scripted review once I do that on the channel. I have some stuff I want to upload to this channel. I'll do that in a bit, in a couple of days, maybe, or a week or two, to kind of explain where I've been. But as of right now, Inside Out 2, easy recommend, great film, go watch it. This is Power Rabbit 999 signing out.